What is happening, y'all? Welcome back to the channel for another Real Talk episode. Today we're going to be talking about why lower receivers don't matter nearly as much on your build. It's a place where you can save money, and the only things that really matter in a lower are the buffer weight and spring you choose, which again have nothing to do with the actual lower itself, and the trigger you put in it. Again, two things that have nothing to do with the lower. So this is a place on your build that I recommend, especially a lot of new builders can save some money. And I don't and replace that cost of buying a fancy ambi billet lower receiver for a forged lower that's cheaper, and replace that money and put it somewhere else, like a better barrel, a better BCG, a better trigger, for instance, things like that I think actually matter towards your build. But before we talk about in depth all of the lowers that I have experience with, billet, ambi lowers, forged lowers, and all the accoutrement that I like to put on them, first, I want to take a moment to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, which is Brownells. If you guys do want to support the channel, head to rangedaybro.com. Use bro code RDB10 over you know where. I can't really talk about it right here, but you guys know where to use it. We also have a discounts page that shows you all of our discount codes and our affiliate links over there. We have a loadouts page, which will feature a lot of these lowers you'll see here today on the channel. And we have an email subscription list. I would appreciate it if you guys would sign up for that. Also, liking, commenting, subscribing. Let me know down in the comments, what is your favorite lower receiver and why? And let's just start off with this guy right here. So this is going to be a placeholder for any forged Milspec lower receiver. This is an Aero Precision. This one looks a little retro. It's not complete, obviously, yet. I'm still building it out. Still got to find a trigger for it, going with the Milspec trigger. This is for my Mark 18 upper. So carry handle upper. It's not actually carry handle. This is a Aero Precision carry handle that I have just bolted on here. But this is my retro rifle build. So that's why I have an A2 pistol grip on here, which is my least favorite pistol grip of all time, and a straight trigger guard. That's something I would never have on any other rifle if I could help it, and a non-ambi safety selector, even though the safety selector is a Radian, so not really clone correct at all, but there's certain things that I'm just not willing to compromise on, and the safety selector being on a 45 is just one of them. This is not a clone lower, like it's an Aero Precision lower. I just wanted something to feel and look more like the Mark 18 upper. But we spent enough time on discussing this one. This is a place where I'd say, as long as you have it from a quality company that is known for having decent quality control, it doesn't really matter. What matters way more is tuning it with the proper buffer weight and spring, putting a good trigger in it, because that trigger will definitely increase your hit percentage. You still need the fundamentals, but same shooter, shooting at the same distance is going to have more hits with a better trigger. And Geisley does not sacrifice on reliability with their combat loaded springs. Their springs are strong enough to set off combat primers, right? Hard primers from military ammunition. So you're not sacrificing reliability there. So there's really no reason, in my opinion, besides cost. But again, that's where I would save the money on the lower itself and put it into a better trigger and other components that you might like. So this is kind of a placeholder. Before we really get into the other lowers, because I have a bunch of lowers I'm going to show you guys and talk to you about and go over my experience with, first just want to quickly cover the difference between a billet lower and a forged lower. This is a tale as old as time that's been argued on the internet for very many years, so I won't spend too much time on it. But essentially, a forged lower uses a bunch of hammers, and it gets the aluminum very hot, and it actually beats the lower into the shape that it is. And in doing so, it straightens out all the molecules and the grains of the aluminum, so to speak, for lack of a better term, into the same direction so that it's stronger, and it creates a very solid structure of aluminum. Whereas billet lowers are coming from a solid block of aluminum that is not forged typically. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna be a little bit more weak, but it gives you the ability to have intricate designs and have certain cuts that really aren't available on many forged lowers. So there's some exceptions, which we'll talk about here. And so it really doesn't matter to the end user. It's just about preference. Early on, I used to think the billet lowers were really cool looking. Now that I've gotten more and more into it, I'm more towards a traditional style, forged lowers, kind of what I think is cool because it's more clone correct and it just gets the job done. I'm here for strength. I'm here for reliability, and the way it looks doesn't matter. So that's evolved in me. I used to really like billet lowers. Now I really lean towards forged lowers. So it doesn't really matter. This is just a placeholder. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows what a standard forged lower looks like. So we'll move on to the first other lower that I want to talk to you guys about, and the PWS. So this is one that I really, really love for certain reasons. and we'll talk about those right now. So this is actually still a forged lower, although it has the billet appearance on there. So this is the PWS Mark 1 Mod 2, I believe it is. Yeah, Mark 1 Mod 2. They're completely ambidextrous lower. So we'll remove the magazine so you guys can see what I mean by that. So completely ambidextrous, meaning you could lock the bolt to the rear using this button right here, and then you can release it as well. There are certain lowers, which I don't believe I own any anymore, I'll have to double check, that are just simply 1/2 ambi, where you can just release the bolt from the right side of the gun. The ones that come to mind, like SLR Rifle Works is one. A lot of the Palmetto State Armory stuff are those. Forward Control Designs in collaboration with Sons of Liberty. Those are just releasing from the right-hand side, which I think is nowhere near as important as being able to lock it back. So now, with this style lower, I do not love the ping pong paddle. We'll call this one a mirrored lower, right? So this just mirrors the ping pong paddle on the other side, although this one is quite a bit larger, which is actually very nice. It mirrors it and it pushes it back slightly. So it's actually like an inch further back on the right side of the gun. And the reason that this isn't great, especially for the release portion of the manipulation. So for locking it back, let's say bang, 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 I have a malfunction. I need to lock this bolt to the rear. I can pretty simply, break my grip slightly and push this guy down as I lock it to the rear, okay? Not a huge deal. But when I'm going to release it, this becomes a problem because I'm gonna insert my magazine. I'm gonna come just over here on the left side and hit that bolt release because my hand's already over here. And in order to do it with my right hand, to do it quickly, to be able to do it faster with my right hand than I do on the left side, it's just not possible in this configuration for me. So here's my shooting grip. And ideally I have my shooting grip and I can come like right here or right here, and I can, on the, there's certain systems that allow you to do it with this guy right here, the dust cover, which is brand new. Talk about just the Geisley, allows you to just push the dust cover, and that would be effective because I don't have to break my shooting grip. Now for this guy, I kind of have to break my shooting grip, but it's very difficult to hit. So typically what I'll have to do is come up here and hit it like that, which again defeats the purpose of actually using it to release the bolt. So this is the type of style that I would say I don't love. It's not my #1 choice for ambidextrous purposes, but there are many other things about this lower that are just really badass. It does look cool, has a very nice flared mag. I'll just talk about looking cool not mattering. I agree with that. Looking cool doesn't matter, but it does have a lot of really cool features. It comes with the Radian Ambi selector. I switched it to the 45 because I preferred on the 45. It came with it on the 90 degree, but it's a simple swap for those of you who know how to use the Radian selector. But again, this lower is great. It's just that portion right there. You have to really get into it and push it into the gun. So it's not my preference as far as bolt releases go, but as far as actually locking the bolt to the rear, this is easier than the swipe style. So there's good and bad to both. And honestly, it's more important to me for the ambidextrous purposes to be used for clearing malfunctions, because we all train this insert and then, your hand's literally right here after you insert the mag. So you insert it, you pop that guy in, and then you can get back to shooting. So not the end of the world, but there's a lot of other things that I really like about this. The one thing that I don't love about it, and this is the problem with all ambidextrous lowers, is that it has a magazine release on the left side of the gun. I'm right-handed, so I don't need that to be there. And all that does is create a little shadow of doubt when I'm carrying with a plate carrier or a chest rig on that I may accidentally bump this. Now, the silver lining is it's more difficult to hit than the right side mag release because just the way leverage works. And it's also very well shielded. So I haven't actually had this happen yet, but it is a possibility for it to happen. But this shielding will dramatically reduce the possibility of that happening. So as far as it being a possibility, I don't like it being there, but as far as it being there, this is about as good as it gets for shielding. It's all the way up flush with this button. So you'd really have to have something hit it like perfectly center and push pretty hard to get it to drop your mag free. And so again, not the end of the world, but I like that this has a built-in trigger guard. It's got some lightning cuts in it, so lightens it up a little bit. And for it being a forged lower, I think it looks pretty awesome and it functions very well. So forged lower, but looks like a billet lower, has a nice flared magwell on it, built-in trigger guard that's oversized, fully ambidextrous where it matters over here on the right-hand side, being able to lock that bolt to the rear. And some other things I could really live without is the ambidextrous magazine release. But the bolt release on the left-hand side of the gun is also very overlarge and very nice, much like my favorite bolt release that's for Milspec forged lowers is the Geissele Maritime bolt catch. It looks similar to that. It functions just like it with a very big surface for you to engage. So if you have gloves on or you're not looking at your gun, you're under nods or something, you have no issue finding that. So big fan of this lower from PWS. It is one of my favorite, and we'll move on to another lower here. You know what? Let's take it back real quick to Milspec, because I want to go over what a Milspec lower looks like in my ideal configuration. So this obviously does not have ambidextrous bolt catch or bolt release because this is a Milspec forged lower. But this setup is the way that I really like it. So I have a Maritime bolt catch on here. I guess that's really the only thing. I have a FR something trigger in the lower, so I really enjoy this trigger. And I have a Maritime bolt catch. Again, no ambi magazine release. Unfortunately, no ambi bolt lock back. So if I need to lock the bolt back, I have to do one of these. You know, I have to pull my shooting hand off the gun, grab it like so, pull it back the old school way, which isn't the end of the world. It just takes a little bit more time to do. But I wanted to come back to this configuration because there's a lot to be said about just a standard Milspec lower. There's really nothing wrong with it whatsoever. This one here is just a Daniel Defense. This is my SBR lower, so I've had it for a very long time. And that's why it's sitting on my new favorite go-to-war rifle, the LMT 12.5 Spec War. But this one also has an HRF Concepts magazine well on it. This I bought with my own money, so I'm a big fan of these magazine wells. There's a lot more coming out nowadays, but HRF was the one that kind of caught my eye at the beginning. And I've had no issues with it. It's very lightweight. Creates a massive funnel for you to be able to funnel your mags in here, especially for these Milspec lowers. Like, it's a very tight window, as you can see the difference here, right? Like, HRF just completely opens up the opportunity for you to reload, especially under nods. And for it being so lightweight, I mean, it's just boom, easy peasy. You never have to worry about missing it, really. If you miss it, you're completely blind. So I just wanted to go back and give a shout out to this lower, because it's a workhorse and you get to put whatever trigger guard you want in here. This one is just a no name. It's not even marketed. I don't even know what it is. Probably just some parts I had in the part bin. Geissele A17 grip on here. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Oh, let's talk about lower to upper fitment real quick, because that's an important piece I don't want to overlook. So a lot of lowers nowadays, see if this guy has it. Yeah, so the arrows have it. It's gonna be very hard. Oh, not very hard to see. There you go, right there. That little hole right there in the back at the bottom, that is for a tension screw that will actually come up and push up against the bottom of your rear pin hole here. So it actually pushes up against the bottom of this. And what that's gonna do is take out any slop, any play between the two forged components. Because again, with forging, things aren't like super duper precise like they are with machining and billet lowers. So what that's gonna do is just take out any of that slop, any of that play between the uppers and the lowers. So Arrow, notoriously being one of the cheaper companies, has that availability, has that possibility with their lowers, which is really cool. A lot of other lowers I've seen have come out with those recently. I don't know off the top of my head, like if the PWS has it. I guess we can just look and check since I wanna give you guys an in-depth look at this. But the other way to fix that is just to take a piece of duct tape or any kind of tape, electrical tape, and put layers of tape on the bottom of this piece right here until it fits your lower receiver snugly. And again, that's like a hillbilly way, I guess you could say, of fixing that issue. But if you have a lower that doesn't have that tension screw in there, that's a way for you to do it without having to go out and build a whole new lower. So is it really a huge deal? Yes and no. Like if you're trying to take precise shots, that wobble, if it's bad enough between the upper and the lower, can affect your accuracy slightly. Because if the upper's slightly canted compared to the lower, if you're taking long range shots, like I've never found it to be like a quantitative amount of play that was bad enough that would warrant me needing to do that. But like you guys can hear between the Arrow and the Mark 18 upper, This is actually a pretty tight fitment without that screw being adjusted at all. And you do have to remove your pistol grip to adjust that screw, so you want to do that before you install your pistol grip, or you can obviously just take it off, tension it, and test it. It will make popping your rear pin out even harder if you're having issues with that already. Like this guy's already kind of sticking a little bit with these radian pins, but it does take out that slop, that play between the upper and the lower if that's important to you. So let's go back to the PWS. Let's check this real quick and see if it has the tension screw. Yes, it does. So the PWS does have a tension screw. It's very hard to actually show you guys this because the Stoic bag is kind of blocking it, but let's see if we can see it. It's all the way there in the back. There you go. You see the little tip right there, right underneath the pin. That's the tension screw on the PWS. I was pretty certain it had it, but just wanted to confirm for you guys. So there's the PWS. Now, let's move on to the silencer code. This is one that I would say this is one that has had a lot of popularity in the past, but I would say it's kind of lost that popularity. I think people just don't really even know about this one, honestly. This one is completely ambidextrous. This one is a billet lower receiver. So this guy, I really like this guy because it's not crazy expensive. First, let's talk prices real quick as we go. So you have like the standard Milspec lower. That's not crazy. That's like, well, actually, let's talk about that. So Palmetto State Armory, I don't have any Palmetto State lowers currently. I've had them in the past. They were okay. I'm not a huge fan of Palmetto. I think they cut a lot of corners and they will silence people that speak out about them doing such things. So I'm not a huge fan of the way they handle their business, but in the past I've had their lowers and they've given me no problem. So a complete lower from Palmetto, like on their daily deal right now, for like a standard A2 grip and an M4 stock is $99. So that's the cheapest I've ever seen them. It's probably as cheap as you're ever gonna find them. For like a Magpul furniture one, you're looking at like complete lower Magpul furniture, regular two-stage trigger. You're looking at like 240 or yeah, like 150 for like one without the nice trigger. 250 for the one with the good trigger, okay? So that's about ballpark for what you're looking at for a Palmetto State lower, complete lower. Now, this Silencer Co. lower, I remember when I bought this, I believe it was $225. I thought they stopped making these because I haven't seen them marketed or anywhere, but I see them in stock right now at Palmetto, which again, I don't recommend shopping with them, but if you really want one of these, I see it in stock right now for $270 for a stripped lower. Again, I thought they stopped making these, but that's how much this guy runs for. The PWS on Brownells is $300. So you could use my discount code. It'll save you $30 off of that. So it'll be like $270 after RDB 10. But that's how much the PWS is going for. The Silencer Co. is about the same, $260 or $270, $269. I want to get it right because I'd rather you guys use my code. $270, so same exact price. Now, this lower actually is pretty cool. It has a pretty large flared magwell. And the reason I like this one this because it has the bolt catch, bolt release style that I like. So for pushing it up to lock it to the rear and pushing it down to release it, this motion is a little bit less effective for me than the push-in on the PWS, but the release is far more effective because I can do that without breaking my shooting grip, like hardly at all. I kind of have to slip my hand back a little bit, just very slightly, to do both, right? I have to slip it back to lock it up, and then I have to, like, I can't release it from a proper shooting grip. I have to pull it back a little bit, but it's just easier. I don't have to like come off and push into the gun, so it's easier to release it. It's a little bit harder to lock it to the rear, especially if you're fatigued at the range. Like right now, I'm perfectly fresh, like I'm chilling. So like I can do that very easily. But if I've been shooting all day, I'm trying to do this one-handed while you're, dropping the mag and stuff, it gets a little difficult. So good and bad things about this. I will say I do like the fact that it doesn't have an ambidextrous magazine release. I could put one in, but again, I don't prefer them. If I did put one in, it has nice shielding here, like ready for you if you're gonna put one in, which is pretty cool. I like that part. Again, this was a strip lower, so I just put a Milspec bolt release on this side. Actually, was it? Yeah, it was a strip lower. Wait a minute. Doesn't make any sense. I think this is one piece. Let's double check. Because I'm looking at the picture on Palmetto and it's not showing any bolt release or bolt catch in there. No, this is one piece. So this is not changed. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. For a second, I had a brain fart. So that is one piece right there. So as you can see, that's all one connected piece, and it just goes through the lower receiver to create that. Let me set this up or down. There we go. So you guys can see one piece, the way that works. Boom. Okay. So you cannot change that out for like a Maritime or something because it's all connected. But still, not the end of the world. Just have, I wish they would make that just a little bit bigger, like the PWS. So this was, I think, one of my first ambi lowers ever, and it served me well over the years. Again, I don't think they really market it or push it. It's not really that popular in my opinion, but it's pretty good. I used to think it was cooler looking than I do now. Honestly, now again, I lean towards the forged lowers, which I guess we'll just move on now to, this one also does have the tension screw before I move on and forget and have to come back to it. This one has the tension screw, as you can see right there, so you can adjust it. Now this is on my BRN upper, so, oh, one last thing I want to talk to you guys about that I do not like about this lower, because I forgot about it because I haven't run it in so long, are these QD cups built into the back right here. They just sit out way too far for my liking, and they actually like get in the way and create a hot spot. You guys can see right there exactly how far out they protrude. I do typically run my sling in the back right here, which again is my preferred place. It is nice to have these, but they protrude way too far out and they actually get in the way of like your sling, and like they can kind of create a hot spot if you're messing with this at all. They just, in my opinion, they stick out too far. They're also aluminum, and they're not anti-rotation, or are they? No, they're not. Again, I haven't run this lower or this upper in a very long time, so it's been a while, as they say. Otherwise, pretty good lower, but I think there's better options out there on the market today, considering what we're going to talk about next. So let's just move on to my favorite lower here. And this is probably my favorite lower to date. And this is the Griffin Mark II lower. This guy has everything that I like and only one thing that I really don't like. So for full disclosure, this lower was sent out to me, and it was sent out in a complete configuration. So if you buy it stripped, obviously it's not going to come with any of the accessories like this back plate with the QD cup here. But I do appreciate companies, and I think it's ridiculous that companies are still shipping complete lowers without the back plate QD slot there. So they do ship this with this guy right here. One thing I will note is the castle nut is not staked at all. I have had no issues with it walking loose, but I'm going to have to stake that myself. I just keep forgetting to. But it's not staked, and it came from the factory that way. So let me look at the other Griffin lower that I have. Let me just double check. Don't want to make myself a liar here. This is another Mark II lower they recently sent out for this upper. And again, this one is not staked. And I don't know why that is. That's a good question for them. I'll have to ask them. But yeah, shout out to Shaw Barrels. This is the 18-inch 6-arc upper I'm looking forward to reviewing. And we have the Griffin Mark II lower on this guy. But yeah, let's just talk about the Mark II lower real quick. So this is a forged lower. It looks like a forged lower. It looks very classic, but it has the style of bolt catch and bolt release that I do like and prefer. So push it up to lock it to the rear, and then swipe it down to release it. This does look eerily similar to the ADM, because I think the same engineer designed them both. I don't really know if it was a collaboration or how that works, but anyways, Griffin makes them and sells them for way cheaper than ADM does, so that's really cool. Now, the reason I like this, there's a lot of reasons. It's got the flared magwell like the Silencer Co that I like. It's not quite as aggressive as the Silencer Co, but it does help a little bit. HRF, there's a couple other, Diligent Defense, there's a couple other companies that make magwells for these lowers now, as well as the PWS, because they are becoming so popular. But I like this ambidextrous bolt release style. On the other side, it does have an oversized ping pong paddle, which I do like. And it does, this is the part that I don't like, is the magazine release. Again, though, It's got this nice rail right here. It's a little less shielded than the PWS. So I will say the PWS has better shielding than this guy does, but I haven't had an issue with it getting engaged when it wasn't supposed to. Again, it's just a little bit harder as well to hit it from this side. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I would have loved to see just a little bit more shielding there, but in the nature of the way this is positioned here, it just wouldn't have been possible with the trigger pins. So yeah, that's that. Built-in trigger guard. It's oversized. It's not lightning cut, but I mean, pretty standard stuff. It is the cheapest of my favorite options as well. It does not have the tensioning screw ability. So if your upper and lower don't fit great, then you can use that tape trick. Otherwise, you won't be able to tension it at all. But this is probably my favorite lower because it is a very good price. Let's see. For an ambi lower. So this is $220 on Griffin's website. So I don't know if these, I should probably know if they sell these on Brownells. If they do, they're probably sold out, but look for them on Brownells and you can use my code as well. But $220, I think it's about as good as it gets. You get the forged strength, but you have some billet qualities as well. So it's really between this and the PWS. I'd say I like the PWS for certain reasons, and I like this for certain reasons. Again, this is just a little bit cheaper, but that's up to you for you guys to decide what matters most to you as far as your lower receivers go. Now, I think I covered most of it for the AR-15. We can move on to the SIG Spear real quick. We'll talk about that one because this is a cool ambi lower as well. So this guy, SIG Spear LT, this one is the 300 blackout variant, but it's the same exact lower. This guy has a lot of the good things as well. My favorite style bolt catch and bolt release. Again, because I can lock it to the rear. Not quite as easy, but I can just simply swipe it down. It is a little narrow, like that shelf. I found myself, especially with gloves on, I'm like searching for it and I can't, I'm like hitting the dust cover. Or if I get on it, I'll slip off a little bit. So it is a little narrow and you have to kind of push in and down on this one. Unlike the Silencer Co. is kind of more of a flat shelf for you to just hit. And even though the Griffin is kind of angled, it seems for whatever reason easier to hit than this guy is. That's just from my own experience in the field. But again, oversized bolt catch on the bottom. The top is still the same size. And a ambidextrous magazine release, which is kind of shielded, not really well shielded in my opinion. Could be shielded better. Got a slightly flared magwell, built-in trigger guard, oversized. And then it has the same QD cups in the back that Silencer Co. has, but they're actually steel reinforced and anti-rotation. And they're not sticking out and protruding out as nearly as much as a Silencer Co. Might seem like a small issue, but believe me, I just remember using that in the field and being like, why are these things protruding out so far? I think my sling loop kept getting caught up on it and just twisting up and binding up and creating issues. So that is that. I don't believe there's any tension screw on this guy because it's just made for one upper, unlike the other Milspec lowers that can go on pretty much any upper. That's pretty much it for this lower. And this is a little bit different. Obviously, there's no buffer tube on this system, so a little bit of different mechanics going on, but also has a very nicely placed and oversized magazine release. I do appreciate that because it's in the same exact spot as a regular AR-15, but it is oversized, so you can get to it relatively easily. Ambidextrous safety selector. This does take Milspec triggers. This has a Geisley Super Dynamic 3-gun in it, and I do eventually want to change out this selector, but it is what it is for now. That's going to do it for the small frame stuff, I think. There's really nothing special about the HK lowers, so I guess we'll skip over that. AR-10s. So it's not really the same thing, though. I can't really talk about AR-10s. It's not the same thing because although they don't matter, there's a lot more proprietary parts and whatnot. Like if I were to bust out the HK MR762, it really wouldn't matter because that's only for the HK, right? So I guess the LMT, we could talk about the LMT real quick. Let's talk about the LMT because the LMT Mars H is the exact same as the Mars L. As far as I know, it's the exact same lower, so just size down. So same style as the PWS, pull it back, you can lock it to the rear, and then you can push on the top to release it. It does have an ambidextrous magazine release, but it is very well shielded. It looks very similar to the PWS magazine release on the Mark 1 Mod 2. So very well shielded again, and this one's also recessed pretty far, so it would take a lot to actually hit that. If you guys can see how far down it is. But oversized trigger guard, pretty decently flared magwell. I mean, actually very well flared magwell especially for an AR-10. I really like that. Ambidextrous safety selector. One of the lamest things LMT does, I'm just going to call them out right here, I have before in the past, is put this little block right here so you can't put any special selector type things in there. Really gay, actually. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's for like classification purposes, I don't know, but I hate it. I've thought about like dremeling it off, but for now we haven't done it yet. But otherwise, a very good lower. Not a huge fan of the grip, but it does ship with a nice little QD cup in the back, properly staked castle nut. And yeah, that's that, guys. So let's just go through the computer real quick and see what else for pricing I have up. I believe one option that I haven't talked about because I don't have it yet is the CAC, the KAK Industries, that they're sending me. They have on sale right now on their website the complete lower with a CTR, or it's actually not a CTR stock, it's a Magpul. It's like a step down from the CTR. This guy. Whatever one this is, this stock in FDE with a Magpul K2 grip, which is my favorite, for $164 forged lower. Got oversized trigger on it. That's a complete lower. So pretty good price from what I've seen. Let's also talk very quickly about the... Bring the computer up here so you guys can actually hear me. Also, Bravo Company wide body. I think it's just a little bit longer. I don't really know exactly what classifies as a wide body. I believe the distance from the front of the trigger guard to the back of the pistol grip is what classifies that. Is $535 on Brownells. So it'll save you $53 with my code, but it's still going to be like $490, $480, which is pretty steep in my opinion for just a forged complete lower receiver. So right now, and also the Mars L on Brownells is going for $863, which again, I love LMT products, but I know it has a better trigger than a Milspec trigger for sure. There's a lot of cool things about it being ambi, but for $863, that's a lot of beans, as they say. It is a very good quality product from what I understand. I've shot my friends, and from handling the Mars H, they are very nice, but that's a lot of beans. Especially when you could pick up a complete standard forged lower for $164 from CAC, or a Mark II for $200 or $220, whatever it is. They have blend ones on here for $200, and then the Santikos 270 primary arms. Again, really hard to beat a primary arms for $270 after my code. Those are just a lot of the options that I've used over the years and my experience with them. If I forgot anything, guys, please let me know down in the comments below. I think I covered everything. If you guys do want to support the channel, rangedaybro.com would be greatly appreciated if you use my discount codes and my links over at the discounts page. Also check out our loadouts page. We're going to be updating it pretty soon with the retro Mark 18 build you see right here. I know it's got a green anodized charging handle, which is like absolutely redonkulous on here. It's going to need to get changed out, but I would appreciate it if you guys check that out. Subscribe to my email list, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your favorite lower is, and if there's anything I got wrong, I'm always here to learn and grow. I love you guys as always. Drink a lot of water. Christ is King. Love y'all. Take care of yourselves.